Thank you, Chair. I move the amendment. I welcome this motion from Sinn Féin as an opportunity to debate this issue of fundamental importance to society. I congratulate Deputy Finchin on her appointment to the role of spokesperson, and I look forward to working with her and the other spokespersons as we seek to ensure the highest possible standard of early learning and care for our children and our young people. I'm pleased to have this opportunity as newly appointed Minister for Children, Disability, Equality and Integration to present my own vision and that of the new government for a transformation of early learning and childcare services in the state. I'm tabling an amendment to this motion as while the government accepts that there is urgent need to continue to develop and reform early learning and childcare sector, we believe that the actions set out in the new programme for government are the best way to bring real and lasting development and change that will benefit parents, children, the sector and its workers. Before discussing the various policy issues relevant to this sector, I want to begin by recognising the valuable work being done every day by early learning and childcare practitioners and service providers, including childminders. The commitment of the people who work in this sector to the children they look after is unquestionable. I've met a number of early learning and care and school-age childcare providers and their representative groups in the last few weeks, and their dedication to the children they educate and care for is obvious. I've been particularly struck by the positive experiences which providers have shared with me as children. I have been told that the Business Committee have said speeches can't be circulated anymore. That's what I was told by my own officials for COVID reasons. Well,
it might be possible to make a call.
I hear that there's a long-standing convention in this House that the speeches will be circulated.
Yeah, point taken. It might be no harm to
Grant, will we? I assure deputies we'll get it circulated by email afterwards. I apologise for that. Again, I was told of the issue.
Yeah, I think I would accept that.
Will you allow me?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. It allows us to digest the speech while the Minister is speaking, and if there are issues inherent in the speech that we don't necessarily pick up on first hearing the speech, that we can digest them. I think it's vitally important that we don't lose that convention, Cahir. Look.
We can arrange that. I'm sure that can be arranged anyway to as quickly as possible.
I'd also like to pay tribute to parents and children. When the childcare providers and schools closed their doors in March, many parents were juggling working full-time while caring for their children at home. And for children, growing up during the pandemic has meant missing school and missing friends. This has been a profoundly difficult time for everybody, but both parents and children have shown real resilience and compassion since the crisis began. I'm pleased that the government have been able to support providers since they were closed by COVID, and particularly as they reopen their services. I would also refer to what a majority of childcare providers are saying regarding the lifeline that the financial supports to date are providing the sector, and the continuance of these supports will help them bring their business back to full health. The COVID pandemic has undoubtedly been extremely difficult for the early years sector, coming as it did after a number of challenges in 2019. My department has provided tailored supports for the sector to try and reduce the impact on service sustainability as much as possible. The most recent package of €75 million was provided for the reopening of services from the 29th of June, including access to Revenue's temporary wage subsidy scheme to cover up to 85% of staff wages, reactivation of the DCYA's childcare scheme, a capital grant to assist with purchase of equipment or minor capital works.
Sorry to interrupt again, Minister. I understand that speech will be circulated by email. If that's not satisfactory, say so. It's okay?
I don't have my phone, and I have to say, the first I ever heard of the Business Committee agreeing that was in here, so I don't mean to interrupt the Minister, but
No, I accept the point.
It's extremely unusual.
We proceed, and I think that will be a learning curve.
Thank you, Chair. The most recent... The most recent package of €75 million providing for the reopening of services from the 29th of June, and as I said, has allowed access to the wage subsidy scheme, reactivation of the DCYI childcare schemes, the capital grant and a reopening grant to assist with the extra staffing costs of the purchase of cleaning and hygiene products. And as we turn to the next phase of reopening from September onwards, I will be working with my government colleagues on measures to continue to support the childcare sector in the period from the 24th of August onward. I want to turn to the issue of investment in the early learning and childcare sector. The government has clearly set out the need for increased investment in childcare. The last 5 years saw a significant increase in state funding by 141%. Obviously, it has to be acknowledged that this was coming from an extremely low base. This sector received virtually no state support for decades. We are still catching up from this historic failure to invest. And as the opposition have said, parents in Ireland do pay very high childcare costs. Similarly to what Deputy Wynne said earlier, when I meet constituents in Dublin West, many parents describe childcare fees to me as essentially a second mortgage. This is not sustainable for parents, for society or the economy, and reducing the fees which parents pay is a key objective of the government. The government is committed to increasing funding, and I want to use this to build on the National Childcare Scheme and make increased subsidies available to more parents. I want to continue to develop the HA-free preschool scheme and the access and inclusion model for children with additional needs. I want to make more childcare places available so that parents have real choice, and I want to improve the quality of service offered to children. State support for childcare has traditionally been targeted at centre-based childcare provision. We will provide some financial supports for parents who choose other types of childcare, such as childminding. And I also want to support those parents who choose to look after their children themselves. To ensure that this extra state investment delivers as effectively as possible on affordability and on quality, I will ensure that the new funding model for the sector being developed by an expert group will be delivered next year. This group is examining models from across the world to design a model for Ireland that will ensure that extra investment will be used to support a sustainable and high-quality service while ensuring that parental fees are significantly reduced. I will ensure that there is an evidence base for the policies I will implement, and I will consult with all stakeholders to ensure that their voices are heard, including parents, practitioners and service providers. In addition to developing a new funding model for the sector, I believe that structural reform is needed to ensure an effective system for the oversight and delivery of childcare services. This government has committed to establish a new national childcare agency, Childcare Ireland, to assist in the expansion of high-quality childcare, spearheading leadership, best practice and innovation. Its goal will be to ensure that childcare is affordable, accessible and of high quality. The creation of such an agency was a key ask of service providers in the sector. As this measure is a significant element of the government's commitment in this area, I will be bringing forward a memo to Cabinet next week to advance the development of Childcare Ireland. I'm committed to leading on the further professionalisation of the early learning and care workforce. All childcare staff currently have qualifications of at least a level 5, with 25% of staff having degrees. I want to increase the proportion of graduates in this sector to ensure that we retain staff and that they have rewarding and fulfilling careers. The Workforce Development Planning Group will publish an interim report by the end of this year and a final report in 2021. The final report will set out a series of actions to ensure that by 2028, 50% of staff in the sector are graduates and that there is an attractive career structure with clear career pathways and that there is a funded and accessible CPD programme for staff. The opposition has accurately pointed out that Ireland has low staff wages in the childcare sector. This has to change if we are to show that we value this workforce and if we are to attract and retain staff. The staff need to be rewarded appropriately, and I support the introduction of a mechanism to determine minimum rates of pay and terms and conditions of employment for childcare practitioners. I'm fully committed to working with sectoral representatives to deliver this, and I will be meeting with SIPTU this week to progress this further. Chair, I've already mentioned the COVID crisis, and deputies may be aware from media reports that a person who works in a childcare service has been confirmed as having COVID-19. The HSE have been involved, as has TUSLA's Early Years Inspectorate. My officials have been assured by them that all necessary actions have been taken. In times such as this, our concern is for any person impacted and to ensure that the necessary actions are being taken to prevent any spread of the virus. Guidance made available by the HPSC, the regulator, TUSLA and my department has proven valuable in ensuring the appropriate management of the case. I hope deputies will understand that it's not possible to comment on individual cases, but I do want to assure you that the HSE and TUSLA has been involved and that all appropriate action has been taken. To conclude, Chair, I realise that there is much to be done in the childcare sector. We have set out clear commitments in the programme for government outlining the type of childcare system we want to provide. We are already taking action to develop the new National Childcare Agency, Childcare Ireland. Work is ongoing to create a funding model that, with additional investment, will deliver affordability to parents, and on creating a workforce structure that appropriately values the staff working in this sector. I'm heartened that there is broad agreement on the challenges facing us and the urgency in addressing them. I look forward to engaging with all political parties and all stakeholders to develop a more affordable early learning and childcare system for everybody and delivered by a more valued workforce. Thank you, Chair.